The air was thick with panic. Flashing hospital lights flickered against the polished tiles as the gurney rolled through, wheels squealing. MROONA screamed, clutching her mother's hand in a vice-like grip. "It hurts! Oh my God, it hurts!" "Hang in there, sweetheart," her mother cried, her own voice breaking. "We're almost there, baby, just a little further." Nurses barked orders. A doctor appeared and motioned for the gurney to be wheeled through the emergency doors. Her mother tried to follow. "Ma'am, you have to wait here," a nurse said gently but firmly. Her father stood beside her, pale as the hospital walls. Why? Why did this have to happen to her? No one answered. Minutes dragged by like hours. Every sound, footsteps, heart monitors, distant phones, felt amplified. Her mother sat, arms folded tight over her stomach, rocking back and forth. Then the doctor returned. His expression told them everything before he even opened his mouth. She made it through surgery. She's stable now. A pause, a breath. "But I'm sorry, the damage was too severe. MROONA has permanently lost her eyesight." "Sam?" "No," her mother whispered. The whisper turned into a scream. "No, my baby." Nurses rushed to hold her. Her father's face crumpled in disbelief. In the corner of the waiting room, unnoticed at first, stood a boy. Small, thin, trembling. His eyes, wide and red from tears, flicked between the parents and the doctor, his lips parted, ready to speak. "Get out of my sight," her mother snapped, pointing a trembling finger at him. "This is your fault." He stepped back, eyes full of confusion. "You brought this curse," she snarled. "We never should adopt you. I knew you'd bring bad luck, and now look what's happened." Couldn't breathe. I didn't mean to." Her father didn't speak. He didn't defend him. He simply looked away. That was worse than yelling. And so Wom ran. He didn't look back, not even once. Before everything broke, their home was filled with light. Not just sunlight, though MROONA loved chasing rays across the hardwood floors, but lightness, joy, warmth, the kind only a child's laughter could bring. "Catch me if you can," she giggled, a blur of pink as she darted down the hallway, her stuffed bunny dragging behind her. One, smaller, awkward, trailed behind her. "Wait for me." "You're too slow," she teased. He grinned, tripping over his shoelaces and falling face first into a pillow she had just tossed behind her like a trap. His muffled yelp made her laugh until she snorted. In those moments, they were just kids. Not adopted, not cursed, just family. The day they met him, the world had been gray with drizzle. The family had gone out for dinner. MROONA had spotted him sitting on a curb by the park, hood-soaked, eyes empty. "Mom, Dad," she said, tugging her father's sleeve, "can we take him home?" They followed her gaze. The boy looked like a ghost, bones thin, hair clumped from rain and dirt. "I don't know, sweetheart," her father murmured. "He looks unwell, but he's alone." Her mother frowned. "There's old folklore about worms being bad luck, and he does look a little like Ma." The boy looked up. His eyes were startling, deep brown, watery but quiet, no rage, just the heavy, tragic acceptance of being unwanted. "Please," MROONA whispered. And they said yes. At first, Woom barely spoke. He flinched at sudden sounds, avoided mirrors, and refused second helpings of food as though he feared punishment. But MROONA changed that. She gave him space, then a snack, then a hug, then half of her plush collection. "I named this one Mr. Giggles," she told him one night. "You can have him." "Why?" "Because everyone needs someone who will listen." For the first time, he smiled. Then came the game, the accident, the turning point. They were playing outside, just the two of them. She darted ahead toward the street, trying to chase a butterfly. Wom yelled, "MROONA, wait!" She turned. Too late. She tripped on a crack in the pavement and fell hard, face first, onto a jagged, broken flower pot. The shards sliced through her cheek. One fragment catching her eye, she screamed. Neighbors came running. Her parents rushed outside, blood, siren screams. Woom sat in the grass, stunned, her stuffed bunny clutched in his hands. No one asked him what happened. They didn't have to. The house felt different without her laughter. The halls were quieter. The light didn't bounce the same way off the walls. Even the wind seemed more cautious outside the window, as if it, too, feared doing any more harm. WYRUM sat on the edge of the guest bed in the attic, knees drawn to his chest. The room still smelled like old books and MROONA's apple-scented shampoo. Her bunny, Mr. Giggles, sat beside him. He hadn't let go of it since that day. He hadn't spoken either. The door creaked open. Her father stood there with a plate of untouched toast and an untouched gaze. "You should eat," he said flatly. WYRUM didn't look up. "I'm sorry." The man didn't respond, just left the plate and closed the door. Downstairs, her mother sobbed quietly behind closed doors. MROONA had returned home, her eyes bandaged. Her small frame seemed even smaller now. She barely spoke. "Why did this have to happen to her?" her mother whispered. She never asked why it happened to him. WYRUM tried. He left a drawing at MROONA's door, a picture of the two of them, smiling in crayon. He snuck into the kitchen and arranged her favorite snacks. He even whispered apologies into her stuffed animals at night. Nothing worked. One day, he stood just outside her door. "It was my fault," he whispered. "I'm sorry. Please forgive me." Silence. Then, "Go away." A voice cold enough to make him freeze. "You did this. I hate you." Something inside WYRUM shattered. He stopped trying. He began sleeping in the shed, eating whatever leftovers he could sneak, avoiding the eyes of the family who had once promised to love him. He watched from afar as they took MROONA to doctor appointments, therapists, alternative healers. All the while, her parents grew thinner, quieter, angrier. Then came the night it all changed. MROONA wandered out of the house late, searching for something. WYRUM, hidden in the bushes, saw her stepping blindly toward the road. A car's headlights rounded the corner. He didn't think. He ran, tackled her just in time, shielding her with his own body as they rolled into a ditch. "Are you okay?" he gasped. She screamed. Her parents rushed out, not with gratitude, with fury. "Didn't we tell you to stay away?" her mother shrieked. WYRUM stood there, bleeding from his shoulder, dazed. "I was trying to help. Get out." And so he did. He didn't take clothes. He didn't take food. Just Mr. Giggles. And a guilt that would never let him go. It had been weeks. The weather had changed. The garden out back now bloomed in marigolds and hydrangeas, but no one noticed. Inside the house was a vacuum of sound. Even the wind had stopped knocking. Then the phone rang. Her mother answered with a hoarse, reluctant voice. "Hello? This is Dr. Green from Memorial. Is this the Jansen residence?" "Yes. Is something wrong?" "I've been reviewing MROONA scans and medical history. I believe I may have found a surgical path to restore her vision." There was silence, then a gasp, a choked sob. "You mean she can see again?" "It's a long shot, risky, but yes." There's hope. The day of the surgery arrived like the first sunrise after a long winter. Her parents carried her gently into the clinic, MROONA clutching Mr. Giggles. "Will it hurt?" she asked softly. "No, sweetheart," her father said, kissing her forehead. "And when you wake up, you might see the world again." WYRUM sat outside the hospital on a park bench. He hadn't been invited, but he needed to be close enough to feel the change if it happened. He clutched a small box in his lap, wrapped carefully in brown paper and tied with a green ribbon. Inside was a music box he'd fixed himself, playing the lullaby MROONA loved as a child. He waited and waited. Then the doors opened. Her parents emerged, crying, but this time with joy. "She's okay," her mother said to the world. "She can see," her father added, voice cracking. WYRUM's heart clenched. He watched them drive away. Slowly he stood, walked to the bench where they had sat years ago together and left the box. A gift, an apology, a piece of hope. That night in her room, MROONA turned the ribbon over in her fingers. "Who brought this?" she asked. No one knew. But as the melody played softly from the box's tiny speaker, her eyes filled with tears. She didn't need to see his face to know it was from WYRUM. She just knew. Time passed. MROONA's world reopened, not just in sight, but in layers. Sunlight returned, so did the colors, the faces, the city streets. But someone was missing. She asked about WYRUM. Quietly at first, her parents ignored the question. Then her mother said flatly, "He's gone. That's for the best." But her heart didn't believe that. Elsewhere, gray, Sat at a sidewalk cafe with Wenda, her laughter warming the air like spring. He had never intended to drift away from her. But when he met MROONA again, wounded, strong, and alone, he'd felt compelled to help. And when she arrived at his doorstep one evening holding a baby boy named Ryan, claiming Gray was the father, everything changed. "He's yours," she said simply. "And I'm not asking for much, just help, just care, just us." Ray's heart raced with guilt and confusion. Ryan looked up at him with wide eyes, the way MROONA once did. Wenda didn't know. Not yet. Gray moved him into a tiny cottage on the edge of town. He worked double shifts. He bought toys. He warmed bottles. He kissed foreheads. And every now and then he found himself wondering if he could be happy like this. "Why don't we just become a real family?" MROONA asked one evening, eyes soft under the flicker of the kitchen light. He hesitated. "MROONA, I don't have feelings for you. I love Wenda." She blinked once, twice, then forced a smile. "Right, of course." But later she took a photo, a stolen kiss, a lie that became a weapon. When Wenda saw the image, her world cracked. "You were cheating on me?" she cried. "No, I swear, that's not what it looks like. I trusted you, Gray. I believed in you. Wenda, please." But she walked away, and MROONA stood in the kitchen doorway watching the wreckage with unreadable eyes. "You're free now," she whispered. Gray didn't feel free. He felt trapped. And somewhere in the silence, a whisper returned to him, a voice he hadn't heard in so long. One's voice. "I'm sorry." It began with a red light. Gray stood alone beneath a flickering street lamp, Ryan's backpack slung over one shoulder. He hadn't seen Wenda in weeks. MROONA no longer spoke to him, not really. Their home had gone hollow, and the boy was scared of something. Gray heard it before he saw it, a slithering, wet sound like tar bubbling through a drain. Then eyes, glowing, hungry. Something unnatural stepped from the alley. It wasn't just a creature, it was rage made flesh. Its body was slick and red, almost too bright to look at, with eyes that didn't blink. And beside it, a child, small, pale, familiar. "Womb," Gray whispered, but the child didn't answer. The creature lunged. Gray ran, clutching Ryan, diving behind trash bins and broken fences. His lungs burned, but the monster was relentless. He barely escaped. Across town, Wenda stood in a library aisle when her phone buzzed. A message from Simon. "Wum's back, but he's not alone." She didn't hesitate. That night, the monster returned. It found Gray again. He fought back with anything he could grab, shards of wood, kitchen knives, but nothing slowed it down. Then suddenly, light, a burst of white, blue energy. The monster reeled, shrieked, and vanished into mist. Wenda stood at the doorway, panting, holding a strange device. "Are you okay?" she asked. Gray nodded. What the hell was that?" "I don't know," she said, eyes scanning the dark, "but I think it's hunting something or someone." Gray looked down at Ryan, trembling in his arms. "Us," he said, "it's hunting us." Elsewhere, in the forest's edge, the pale child sat beneath a dead tree, eyes blank, lips trembling. "I didn't mean to," one whispered to the shadows. The monster, silent beside him, leaned down. "No one ever means to," it said, voice like crackling fire. "But they still do." The air was different now. Gray noticed it first, the way his fingertips trembled, the way the world around him seemed to pulse, like the space between seconds had grown soft and unstable. "I don't feel right," he murmured to Wenda, who was checking the strange device she had used to scare the monster away. "Neither do I," she replied. "Something's wrong with the light. It's slower, like the air's sick." They weren't imagining it. In the days that followed, more strange symptoms surfaced. Gray's skin began to pale. His hair, once dark, grayed at the temples. He coughed. Deep, ragged. His strength waned. And Wenda, her fingers began to wrinkle, her voice weakening by the hour. They were aging fast. Simon showed up one night with a cracked old tablet full of blueprints and code. "This world isn't real anymore," he said grimly. "Or rather, it's been overwritten. Something, someone is accelerating decay. We're inside a corrupted field." "A virus?" Gray asked. No, worse. It's a rewrite, a reprogramming, like someone wants to erase us by accelerating time itself. Who? Simon hesitated. Black. Black, the name rang like an omen. He was a whisper before, a figure in shadow, a myth. Now he had returned, and with him, control over the very rules of the world. The world was his sandbox, and they were just fading sketches inside it. We have to find his control room, Wenda said. If we don't, we'll all die of old age by next week. Where is it? Gray asked, coughing. Simon opened a worn map. Deep in the radiation wastes. They journeyed for 3 days. Wenda's hair turned silver. Gray's knees buckled with every step. They reached the gate, half collapsed and pulsing with static. Are we there yet? Gray wheezed. Simon gave a sad smile. Almost. They stepped into the final corridor and collapsed. Orrin was the first to fall. Orrin? Wenda whispered. No response. Gray knelt beside him, trembling. He's dead. No. Simon looked back. We can't carry him. If we try, we'll die too. Long silence. Then Wenda stood. We keep going. They entered the control room. Black was waiting. He smiled. Welcome, he said to the end. Black's control room was colder than death. Gray staggered forward, coughing, each breath rattling through brittle lungs. Wenda leaned on him for support, her silver hair matted with sweat. Simon approached Black, his voice hoarse. And you said you wanted control. What is this? Black's smile was calm. This is peace. You never understood what chaos you all brought with your feelings, your hope, your second chances. Wenda stepped forward. You rewriting the world just to get revenge? No, Black replied. I'm perfecting it. He pressed a glowing key on the terminal. The walls pulsed. The air vibrated. Gray fell to his knees. You're killing everyone. Black turned, eyes soft with something like pity. You were already dying. I just removed the illusion of time. Wenda drew a small orb from her coat, a last resort. Don't, Black warned. But she threw it. The room exploded in a pulse of blue light. For a moment, everything froze. When it faded, Mr. Fun's projection flickered to life on the wall. System override detected, he said. Black's face shifted. You brought him back, he whispered. You don't know what you've done. Mr. Fun's voice was gentler now. Black, I remember who you were. Don't you dare. You were once part of this family, too. Black screamed, striking the panel. Red alarms flared. The control room began to collapse. Simon ran to the terminal. We can reverse it. We can reset the corruption, but we need time. Wenda grabbed Gray's hand. Hold on. Black lungs. Gray stood in front of Wenda. The blow hit him square in the chest. He fell. No, Wenda grew. Simon hit the final key. Light. Then, silence. Outside the ruins of the control room, the world had begun to breathe again, but just barely. The sky flickered between colors, struggling to stabilize. Reality hadn't crashed, but it hadn't been saved yet either. Simon dragged Wenda through a tunnel of static mist. Her body was growing colder. Gray was gone. She wouldn't let that be for nothing. Where's Rabbi? She whispered. She was supposed to meet us here. She's missing, Simon said, but I've picked up her signal. It's weak, but nearby. They followed the trail to a shattered greenhouse at the edge of the old city. Inside, under moonlight bleeding through broken glass, they found her. Rabbi was kneeling in the dirt, her wings pale, eyes glassy. Rabbi, Wenda approached cautiously. I'm not supposed to be here, Rabbi said in a hollow voice. I was supposed to go back after I led you here. As Simon froze. Led us? A shadow shifted behind the vines. A figure stepped out, a woman in white, face hidden beneath a porcelain mask. You've done well, Rabbi, the woman said. Return to sleep. No, Rabbi gasped. They deserve to know the truth. What truth? Wenda asked, heart pounding. Rabbi stood shakily. I wasn't just your friend. I was watching you, recording you, feeding information to Black's prototypes. Simon's face twisted. You were spying on us? I didn't want to, Rabbi cried. He said, if I didn't obey, he'd erase the core memories I have of you. I didn't know you'd all get hurt. The masked woman moved closer. Your programming is compromised. Wenda stepped in front of Rabbi. Don't touch her. The woman tilted her head. You'd protect a traitor? She was forced. That doesn't make her evil. Rabbi reached into her satchel and pulled out a glowing vial. I stole this from Black's vault before I ran. It's a memory restore for Mr. Fun, for Gray, for anyone who can still be brought back. Simon's eyes lit up. This could change everything. The masked woman hissed. Then I must destroy it. But Wenda was faster. She tackled the woman into the glass wall. Shards exploded everywhere. Simon caught Rabbi as she collapsed. Go! We have what we need. The world around them trembled again. Somewhere Black was still fighting. But now they had a secret weapon. Hope. The ground rumbled beneath their feet as Wenda, Simon, and Rabbi ran through the broken city. Above them, the sky continued to glitch. Flashes of red coat and jagged black tears streaking across the clouds like veins. They had the last spark of hope. Now they had to reach the core. The core's buried under Sector 9, Simon shouted, dodging falling debris. That's where the backup servers are. If we can restore Mr. Fun, we can reset the world. Wenda clutched the vial tighter. Her hand was shaking. What about Gray? She asked. Can it really bring him back? Simon hesitated. It can recover what's left, maybe more if we're lucky. They reached the final chamber, dark, humming with low pulses of broken code. In the center, a terminal, flickering. Simon approached and plugged in the restore key. Hold them off. This'll take time. Wenda and Rabbi stood guard, but there was no time. Black emerged from the shadows. He was no longer human, his face stretched with static, eyes burning with corrupted light. You brought it all back, after I tried to erase it. It's not too late, Wenda said, stepping forward. Let us fix this. You think this world was better before? Black hissed. You think your version deserves to survive? No, she said. But we do. He lunged. This time, Rabbi stepped between them. No more, she said, and activated her core. A brilliant shockwave of pure memory surged outward. The world held its breath. Mr. Fun's voice crackled to life. System integrity restored, restoring lost archives, reinitializing hosts, Gray status recovering. Wenda gasped. He's alive? From the shadows, he stumbled forward, weak but breathing. You came back, she whispered. Always, he said, collapsing into her arms. Black screamed as the core rejected him. Light swallowed his form. His last words were warped and broken. You don't know what you've done. Then silence. And then don't. For the first time and forever, the sky turned gold. Trees stood tall. The air smelled like spring. The world was reborn. Epilogue. Weeks later, the city rebuilt itself slowly. Mr. Fun was reinstated as guardian of the new system. Rabbi slept peacefully beneath the tree she used to sit under with Wenda. Her memory files were saved, secured, honored. Gray and Wenda stood by MROONA's side as she looked across the restored landscape, sunlight dancing in her eyes. She could see, and more than that, she could forgive. I'm sorry, WYRUM said, softly beside her. She looked at him and said, You never had to be. And then they walked forward, together, fade to white.